So we're glad to have, what? Sorry. We're glad to have our root sponsor, UBS UBS, the Wallace Group. This is Mimi Wallace and Ellen Hoffman, and they're here to do an infomercial.
Yes, thank you.
And here's Ellen.
And here we already got the nice shout out by Elaine on the Forbes stuff. So that was a good intro. We did not plan that ahead of time. It's a nice smaller group here, and I know we know several of y'all, but just kind of a brief overview for those who know us, and then for those who we haven't gotten to meet yet. This is our second year sponsoring TWIG, which we're really excited about. As Diane mentioned, we did a sustainable investing seminar last year, which was a lot of fun. It's an area that Mimi's been doing, I think, since the 1970s, but that's interest in that area has grown a lot. So we had a great seminar, and still on the website if anybody wants to go watch that. So we are the Wallace Group at UBS, named after our namesake, Mimi Wallace. And the Wallace Group has essentially been the Wallace Group for over 40 years now, since Mimi got in the business and has started working with clients. I love working with Mimi, just having a trailblazer female. She worked at a firm called J.C. Bradford, which some of you may be familiar with. That was kind of a top regional firm in the Southeast. And she was the first female advisor to be named as partner at that firm. And I think at the time, there was over 100 male partners. So that was a big accomplishment. And then I essentially stayed at the same firm. Payne Weber bought J.C. Bradford, and then UBS bought Payne Weber, and here we are today. So we help people with with all things financial. We help a lot with investments. We do sustainable investing. As we mentioned, if that's something that you want to incorporate in your portfolio, we've been researching a new fund on lithium batteries related to electric vehicles. If anybody has questions on that, feel free to reach out. We also do, aside from investments, retirement planning, help with life changes like divorce, moving, things like that. We manage over $1 billion for clients, which was an exciting milestone for our team. For me, just quickly, and then I'll hand it over to Mimi, I'm a certified financial planner, so I help clients kind of focus on their financial goals. I've been doing this for about 15 years in the investment business. Mimi and I are both passionate about the environment too, which is why our sponsorship overlaps with Tennessee Women in Green. Last year in my neighborhood in 12 South, I was a tree captain for Root Nashville. I don't know if anybody else has done that, but it was a lot of fun. We got 50 trees planted in our 12 South neighborhood. And that was just a great group to work with. I actually just moved, and I told Meg I'm probably going to do it again, maybe next year. If anybody has any questions about doing that, would highly recommend that if you like trees and want more in your neighborhood. So I'll turn it over to Mimi. Anything she wants to add?
Ellen has a wide experience for her young age. She's been in the trust, worked for a trust company, as well as been a bond trader on Wall Street and certified financial planner. And she gets lots of referrals from around the country. She just somebody honored us by referring Ellen, a very large client who's selling a business in Texas, and we're doing some planning for that person. So that's fun. But we, as Ellen said, I think especially like working with women clients, trying to help them be financially successful, economically successful. So that's meaningful to us. Plus the environmental piece, I started working with socially responsible investing in the 70s. I've been in this business 43 years and used to do a lot of whitewater kayaking and rafting. Still do a lot of rafting, just did the lower Salmon River in Idaho into July. But in 1983, we had the Glen Canyon Dam overflowing. The Grand Canyon, like the lake was overflowing into the Grand Canyon. Now, Lake Powell, you've got houseboats on rocks up there. And so the whole water thing is of great interest to us. We've got a lot of focus in addition to electric vehicles and related items, the whole water industry, water filtration, metering, control of that. So I'm interested in that just from a recreational standpoint, but also environmental standpoint. And there's lots of pieces to sustainable investing, but I found that women really were the first ones to be very interested in sustainable investing, more so than men. You know, they tend to be a little bit more want to invest alongside their values. That's just, I mean, I don't have any data for that, but just my experience in the business, that women are more interested in asking about things like that, and more willing to say, you know, I want to make sure my money matches my value system. So, but we're here to help people in any way we might be able to. And, you know, like I said, Elaine and I are in another group together. I've known her a long time and gotten to know Diane through this group, and that's been fun. So, anyhow, yeah. So I'm trying to think of this.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mimi and Ellen, for your sponsorship and your support of TWIG, and for the work that you do in Nashville and all across the country. And of course, thank you for your commitment to environmental sustainability. If anyone's interested in learning more about sustainable investing, please go check out that Lunch and Learn that was recorded and put on our website.
Yes, and our contact information is in the directory. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. My email is ellen.hoffman@ubs.com. You can also just Google us, the Wallace Group, find our website, and our contact info is on there. So thanks so much. And we're going to hang out for a few minutes. We do have a team meeting coming up. So if we pop off, it's only because of that. We would love to stay longer and feed a t-shirt. So yeah, we're looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I am going to introduce our monthly program speaker, Elese Daniel. Elese is the general manager for Nashville BCycle, Music City's station-based bike share system with more than 30 stations and 250 pedal assist electric bikes. Elese is new to Nashville, but no stranger to bike share. She's worked in the field for several years, prioritizing equity, access, and community partnership. Elese believes in active transportation and sees bike share as a resource for connecting people to places and each other. She'll share her story and a few examples of bike share initiatives that prioritize people and partnership, including the new Books and Bikes for All program with the Nashville Public Library. So with that, Elese, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm pulling my slides up now, and I'll walk through a couple of things. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I am Elese Daniel. I'm the general manager for Nashville BCycle, and this amazing photo was taken earlier this summer when it was a very hot, sweaty, drippy day. But we have all these lovely people here who also ride bikes in Nashville. So this group of folks is a part of the Music City Dope Peddlers. So they are a bike ride crew that since 2020 or 2021 has ridden every Friday, just a community group ride every Friday. And has brought a lot of different people out. And so one of the first things that I did when I came here or moved to Nashville, I tried to find where the group rides were, and I found this group of folks. And then I also convinced them to take a bunch of pictures with my team. Cool. So yeah, who am I? I'm Elese. I joined the Nashville team about a year ago. I, again, no stranger to bike share. I've been working within the bike share system for the past, I guess like 6 years or so now. I, began as a commuting cyclist. I am a commuting cyclist. I'm a bike person through and through. And I, I kind of just, I fell into a wonderful field, a wonderful position working within bike share. But I did ride bikes as a kid, up until that point where the Indiana gave me my license. And then I decided that, bikes, whatever, I'm just going to drive a car now. So I did bike as a kid everywhere I went to, I went riding around my neighborhood. It was like my escape from like my siblings and like whatever was happening at my house. I rode my bike to the park where I played basketball with my friends. And, again, forgot about my bike when I got a car, and then kind of forgot about it until up and through college. So my third year of college, I played basketball at the University of Cincinnati. And my third year of college, I got injured again. And so I couldn't play basketball anymore, redshirted my last year. And I could still bike though. So I found a reason to bring my bike to Cincinnati, where I then rode around the city, and I learned so many different places outside of the few blocks around my campus. Like I got to discover the city that I had been in for so many years and had no clue like what was going on in this place. So it was my way of like freedom again, and my way of getting around a city, this like feeling of freedom and this feeling of exploration. And I used it to kind of get everywhere. And then I stuck around Cincinnati for quite a bit. I was there for 12 years, and I just moved here about a year ago. So what's bikeshare? Bikeshare is another public transportation option. I think of station-based bikeshare, which is the BCycle system. I think of it as akin to public transit. There are several stops like throughout the city that you can, pick up a bike from and ride. But I do think of it as like another mode of transportation. It's an alternative transportation option, and it's also recreation. So if you just want to borrow a bike for a good, hour-long ride along a greenway or in a park or something like that, it's useful to you too. So station-based bike share is, it's got a kiosk and a dock, and there's a bunch of bikes in those docks. You check them out and you roll. But I do think that it is I think bike share is a really useful thing for folks, just because of if you don't want to maintenance or hold on to your bike or or store it or anything like that, you don't have the ability to store it, you don't have the ability to pay for a bike yourself. Maybe you can just borrow one. So I think bikeshare is a great resource for folks in general. And cool. So how does it work? So when you want to when you want to use the bikeshare system, you walk up to a dock, or you pull out your phone and you would check out a bike. So you're going to buy a pass. And I know somebody alluded earlier too that they have a monthly membership option, or they have a monthly pass. So yeah, you can buy a single ride pass, $5 for 30 minutes. If you're here for the weekend, you can buy, a guest pass, $25, 3 days. If you're, longer term user, $20 for that monthly membership, or annual pass at $120. So yeah, you're going to buy that pass. You're going to select the bike that you'd like to ride, choose it from any of the stations. So there's 34 stations throughout Nashville, a somewhat smaller system, but there's 34 stations throughout Nashville, kind of spread out in the downtown core, and then out into several parks right now. Several of those are closed, and we'll get into that a little bit later, and they'll be coming back online in a matter of weeks. But yeah, so 34 stations, 250 bikes that folks can access kind of throughout the city. And so yeah, you buy a pass, choose a bike from any of the stations, you ride it wherever you'd like, return it to a station, and kind of move on from there. And if you're a monthly member, or you're using a day pass or annual pass or something like that, you can do that as often as you'd like. And you can also save money if you're going to be using it more often, than buying that monthly or that annual membership is the way to go. So why bikeshare? What's my personal connection to bikeshare? In Cincinnati, I just like rode bikes around as a way of like exploring and kind of getting to know this city. I then met lots of other bike people, and I got really interested in community events, community bike rides. One of my favorite events that I ever went to, where I met a number of all the bike people that I then later became friends with, was a thing called Bike Prom, which was a bike ride and then an after party. And so you got to dress up like you were going to prom, but you were riding bikes, and it was a really good time, etc. So anyways, I fell in love with bikes and bike people, and I, played silly bike sports. Like I picked up bike polo, things like that. So I was just like a very prominent figure in Cincinnati. That I like to say I was the most visible Black woman on a bike in Cincinnati for a large chunk of time. And so I became this kind of like public face, and I also had a very public job. At the same time, I was the community liaison for the then vice mayor in Cincinnati. And so I got to learn the city from the inside out. So I'm learning it from the outside in by exploring on my bike and getting to know all these different people, but I'm also learning it from the inside out from working within this governmental structure and kind of navigating, meeting new people, new state community leaders, et cetera, all the movers and shakers of the city. And so I, again, became like this very visible public person on a bike. And again, most visible Black woman on a bike, especially in the downtown core. And so I, was sought out. My previous boss in Cincinnati at the bikeshare system there, where I worked for a system called Red Bike. It was another BCycle city. So similar bikes, the same bikes that you see around the city here. He found me and was a former, he was a former assistant to a previous mayor. So we had the connection of both working for city officials. And so he saw me out, he brought me into the Red Bike team in Cincinnati because he really believed in creating this equity and access component to his bike share system, to the bike share system there. So he wanted to make sure that more people felt that bike share was for them and was inclusive. And so he was like, I need to hire someone who can prioritize that, who can speak that, who can live that. And so I joined the team and I became their education and outreach manager, which is the position that I held before moving here and running the system here. So all of my, what I worked on and what I kind of prioritized with bikeshare was just, again, prioritizing that, making sure as many people as possible felt like bikeshare was for them, especially underrepresented communities. And in Cincinnati, I would say we prioritized Black people and people of color, and then also lower income individuals. And we created the Red Bike Go program. And so the Red Bike Go program was a $5 monthly membership to the bikeshare system. It also had a lot of education and outreach sort of engagements, a lot of on growing the amount of people in Cincinnati, people of color in Cincinnati who felt like bike was for them. And this is one of my favorite photos. It's from a community bike ride there. It's from a community bike ride there called 100 Blacks on Bikes, which had nearly 300 people at it the two times that we did host this event. The bike share system, 100 bikes for the event, and at a first come first serve basis, just to do this large community ride. So again, just prioritizing people and the partnerships with community groups, such as like Red Bike and Green, which was a local chapter of like a community group focused on making sure Black people felt encouraged to ride bikes, etc. And we also did a number of partnerships with local organizations, including Finley Market in Cincinnati, which was like a public market space. And we offered discounted memberships on site at their kind of information desk where we staffed the team and signed people up, renewed their passes, et cetera, specifically for the discount program. And that program, the Red Bike Go program, is a nationally recognized equity and access program. Over the, 4 years that I worked for Red Bike, I brought in about $250,000 to support the equity and access works and initiatives. And a lot of that was funded through the Better Bike Share Partnership, which is a part of the People for Bikes organization. I talked a lot about Cincinnati. I'm not in Cincinnati, I'm in Nashville. So what are we doing here? So here's the system here launched way before me in December 2012 and started off, I think, as part of a health grant. And so I think there were about 12 stations when it first started off. Now we're at 34. But as part of the health grant, the system was funded and run by Nashville Downtown Partnership up until about 2021, when BCycle LLC came in to own and operate the system. So when that changeover happened last year in 21, I joined the team, and then also our whole fleet of bikes switched over. So we now have an all electric bike fleet, and it's a pedal assist bike. It's class 1 pedal assist, so it's giving you a boost while you're pedaling. You do have to still pedal, and if you stop pedaling, it is just coasting like a traditional bike. But e-bikes are pretty amazing. They definitely, electric bikes or e-bikes, I think they're pretty amazing. That it kind of boosts the number of people that have access to riding. That makes it easier for them to be riding and biking. It makes hills a lot easier. And we are in a river city, so we do have hills. It makes partners be able to keep up with other partners. If you're not necessarily a cyclist, but your partner maybe is, or your friend is, and you want to keep up with them, you can definitely do that a lot easier with the e-bike. You put in a lot more miles on an e-bike than you would on your regular bike. And maybe your commute's a little less sweaty or not sweaty at all. So we were really excited to change over our whole fleet to e-bikes in 2021. We also swapped over a lot of components within the system, the station. So a lot of the work in the past year has been prioritizing the equipment and kind of doing this education and outreach around what an e-bike is, how it can be used. We've done several community events and demonstrations, both small scale, so just like a senior riding event that we did with Friends of Shelby out at Cornelia Fort, to like larger scale where we had speakers. We had an e-bike virtual panel about with speakers from People for Bikes, and then also some researchers whose work is all based in e-bike safety, speed, etc. And so a lot of that was doing like, what are e-bikes? What do we need to know about them, especially revolving around the conversation about e-bikes in parks and on greenways and etc. And separate from that, we've done a lot of, we have this great partnership with the public library. Again, my focus is all around equity and access, and how do I get as many people as possible to want to be able to use bikeshare, find interest in bikeshare, have the opportunity to use it. And so we created this awesome partnership with NPL, the public library, called the Books and Bikes for All program, and the NPL BCycle Pass. And what it is like our friend here is holding it up in this picture. It's a fob, a BCycle fob that you can use at a station. So you can check it out for free, the same way you would a book or anything else at the library. You go up to a station, you tap it at a station, you check out a bike, and you enjoy unlimited 2-hour trips for a week at a time. So just making sure more people feel like bikeshare is for them, especially if there's an affordability component or question to it. We wanted to make sure that became a little bit less of a concern. And that program's launched in about May, so a few months ago, and we've already had nearly 300 trips. So really excited about that program and what we've been able to do. We've been able to grow that a little bit. We got a better bikeshare partnership grant to support that program, and a connection to the Music City Dope Peddlers, who created a bunch of suggested bike routes. So we have community bike routes that we're able to share with riders with the city. So if you, not only can you access a bike now, but you also know where you can ride. And then we also partnered with the Arts and Business Council here locally to work with local artists to do these really fun art bikes. This is one of the local artists called Rainbow Moshu, and she made this beautiful design that's on the front of this basket here. There are 3 more artists that we are working with that we that will have an art bike unveiling and a community bike ride later in October. And so you'll get to see some of those cool new art bikes in our fleet and at that community event at the end of October. So a lot of what we're doing here has been focused on, again, education and outreach around e-bikes and making sure people can know what they are and get to access and try them out. And then also creating that equity and access program pass with the library and doing a couple of supporting components with that. So people have opportunities to ride bikes in their community, know where to ride bikes, and then also so they know so that we can engage with other local artists as well. What's been successful? I think, again, like community partnerships and prioritizing people. Just like my first thing when I got here was joining community bike rides, figuring out who all the bike people were, who I needed to meet, who are these key stakeholders, partners, folks that I should engage with, we should engage with, who have we engaged with in the past, and all that sort of thing. So what's been successful here is just like leaning into the people who are already doing the work here and learning them and part them for small scale events, larger scale events. How do I get exposure for their clients, their artists, etc. And then also for us, because I think our main goal is to like increase that ridership, make bikeshare more useful, more robust throughout the city. Something that's been an issue or like something that's been challenging for us is navigating the e-bike situation with parks and with greenways. And I think it comes from just concerns about, is an e-bike safe? Is this okay? Do we need to be concerned about this new technology? The kind of conflation of micro mobility options such as scooters and the concerns around that and us being kind of lumped into that group. So I think that has been challenging. And, with change, with new anything, there's going to be these tension points. I think that we'll pass through them, but right now that has been, the bane of my year here so far is just trying to, navigate a contentious kind of situation with like professionalism and respect, because the greenways and the park system are incredible and amazing, and the team behind it is as well. But we are trying to figure out how to make it make sense together, or not. So that's been a thing that's been an issue or a trouble that we've been facing, just because I mentioned earlier that several of the 34 stations, 9 of them had to temporarily close because they are on Parks property. We are relocating those to the public right of way, and NDOT's been a good advocate and friend in that space. And so why we're doing that is we want to make sure that bikeshare is available to people. This is where people have been riding, is on the parks and in the greenways for, the past 10 years. And so we want to make sure that people can still access and do that. And so that is an issue that we're facing. But again, there's a lot of incredible things that we have been able to do this past year with regard to e-bikes and with regard to the NPL pass. And takeaways. I think my biggest thing that I really want to share to folks is that bikes are a simple solution to a lot of our complex problems. And when I think about bikes and bike share in general, I think of it as a resource. Are there issues with health and wellness that you want to assist with? Can a bike be helpful for that? Are there issues with regard to traffic and congestion? Can a bike and bike share be helpful for that? Are there issues with regard to parking? Can we be a resource for that? There are so many people coming and flocking to Nashville, and a lot of big businesses coming here as well. And how do you navigate all these people? How do you move all these people about? And I think that we're not an answer to everything, but I think that we can absolutely be a tool and a resource for whatever the different complications, issues, or needs might be. And I really hope that there's interest in Nashville and support for using bicycling and bikes as a resource for solving some of those problems. I think I could talk endlessly about how great bikes can be and what a great resource they can be, but I think I'll stop now and then just chat with you all and answer some questions and hear your different thoughts. And one thing I did want to share is just a personal thing for me. I have picked up some more outdoor awesome bike skills, and I am now gravel bike riding. And this was me earlier this year in March in Hickman County, having a fantastic time. So one thing I do love about Tennessee and my time now in Tennessee is how beautiful Tennessee is and how many outdoor amazing things I get to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Elise. Nashville's very lucky to have you. So we're very glad you're here. I was actually very briefly at the Walk Bike Nashville party last night and saw some of the Music City Joe Peddlers there. So
awesome.
It's a really fun group. Yeah. So we do have a few questions coming in the chat. I wanted to just ask before getting to those questions because you mentioned some of the kind of fun routes around the town. If you have one or two routes that you've really enjoyed taking across Nashville.
Ooh, so a lot of those routes are like very specific to the routes that they created are very specific to like navigating X different library branch. And so some of those I don't know and I have to ride and I get to ride soon. But where am I going usually? I commute to work. I have a really short commute. I just go from east over into downtown and way, but you know, in time maybe. And I mean Ted roads. I've done a lot of community group rides that are connected to Ted roads, starting at Ted roads and kind of taking the Greenway that's just in like the tip of North Nashville. I think I've been honestly pleasantly surprised at the amount of, I know that it's not enough, and I know there are things in development, but coming from Cincinnati to here, there is a lot more bike infrastructure and bike lanes and things like that, two-way cycle tracks that I was surprised to see, and I really do appreciate. And so riding from like downtown out to Shelby Bottoms is a fantastic ride too. And again, the trailway networks here are really fantastic as well.
Awesome, thank you. So Diane says, thank goodness for the an e-bike. I actually haven't had a chance to ride an e-bike before, so I really need to get on one. But Diane was asking how she can get on the senior bike events list and kind of generally what's the best way for us to stay in touch with what you have going on.
Yeah, so you can check us out at nashville.bcycle.com. There's a drop down on our website that goes to like any community events that we're a part of or connected to. We're also on Eventbrite, so if there's anything that we're hosting, like the ride on October 22nd, that'll be posted on there and on our website. Yeah, those are two major spaces. But I think, did you ask specifically about the senior e-bike ride? Yeah, so that one was a one-off, but I think we would love to do it more. It was an e-bike demo at Cornelia Ford with Friends of Shelby. And it honestly, there was a great turnout. And I think, yes, thank goodness for the E, because I mean, some people, I feel like electric bikes are like encouraging people to bike again because it is not as difficult as you might remember it being, or you can just do it easier. And you know, as a person, I told y'all at the very beginning, I've had knee injuries, so I've torn my ACLs multiple times, and my knees are not what they should be, even at 30. You know, so like I appreciate an electric assist bike for that as well, and I think a number of people do.
Yeah, you really get to figure out how many hills there are in Nashville when you try to bike around.
It's not easy always. Inclines, you're like,
yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Jen, can I insert a small testimonial?
Of course, yeah.
So I did a bike ride with a group, and the first time I was like, oh, I'm not going to do an e-bike. I'm going to bring my bike and get a real workout, and struggled through the ride. The next time I was like, okay, I'm going to give the e-bike a try. Oh my gosh. I mean, because I still got a great workout, but when I got to some of those hills, I was not off the bike pushing it.
Yeah.
I was actually able to stay on. So kudos, I love them.
Yes, I love it. I love that you shared a testimonial. I want all of those. Yeah.
Awesome. Elaine was asking if you can track the use of e-bikes by visitors versus residents.
We probably could with regard to zip codes, and I would assume based on pass type, we could as well, just to do like some deducing of like, if you're buying a month pass or an annual pass, you likely live here. But yeah, we could do it by zip code as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the scooters, and I feel like those heavily skew toward the visitor. So it would be kind of curious to see what it looks like for the e-bikes.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends like where, like what stations too, like with our downtown kind of right on the strip sort of places, our stations, I would assume that, you know, a good portion of those would lean more casual riders. So those single ride passes or guest passes, and I would say those are probably more visitors. But some of the more further out residential areas and definitely those park stations, I would assume that those are leaning more for residents.
Yeah. So Elise, you mentioned a little bit about some of the infrastructure for bikes in Nashville. And we had a question, which is, does Nashville have much in terms of designated bike lanes, and how safe is it to ride a bike around Nashville?
An essential addition to the whole answer to transportation question. It seems like that data could support it.
Yeah, I think it's a good question and good like observation that we could add to that larger conversation of like, who is using it here? Do e-bikes actually add to supporting alternative transportation modes and fixing or helping aid some of the problems that we do have? I think data wise, e-bikes do replace car trips higher than scooters do. But I think the only problem that our system has is that we're not very big. So we're not in enough places to best serve the most people. And I think that with growth of the system, expansion of the system, that is absolutely possible. But we're in a space now where we got an RFP coming up. So I hope to continue to be your bike share service, you know? So, but yeah, I think whoever it is, you know, I think that having a robust bike share network will be able to assist with the transportation problems better than the system that is currently here right now. And I also think that scooters and bike share work in unison, they work together. They can. I think also the NDOT, since its formation, has, you know, I love that their whole thing is about like, it's a micro mobility service. It's a micro mobility department, and that they prioritize choice. And I think that's a really like very forward thinking kind of space to be in. I was happy to see that when I came here.
I have just a personal, kind of more on the personal level. You said how you got, you know, asked because of your visibility to be part of the bike stuff. Did you have alternate plans that you decided were better served by doing the bicycle thing, and it was a welcome surprise, or just, I just wondered?
Yeah, that's a good question. What were my plans? I really enjoyed working for my boss at the time. It was Vice Mayor David Mann at the time. I did really enjoy that position, and as somebody who was not like a native to Cincinnati, to be able to be around someone he was like a former mayor also, so it's like someone who knows the city through and through, to be able to be around that, take knowledge from that, and everyone else that I was able to meet throughout that my time there, like I did value that. And I think it was absolutely helpful for me like throughout my time in Cincinnati. But did I have alternate plans? I didn't know I was going to get a bike job. I didn't know that, like, I don't think I really understood what bike share was when I started. I was like, how does this work? We have to pay for what? Like, so I think, you know, I did welcome it. I didn't have any, you know, I was just kind of like, I'm a person that likes adventure in general. So I'm just like, what's the new next thing? What are we doing? Like, how do I make this the best that I can make it? Like, given these situations, or this, like what's ever at my disposal. So I welcomed it. And I kind of was just like, how do I learn as much as I can and produce something that's really good?
Cool,
I
thanks.
think, yeah, having that open-mindedness is so important. Just kind of going where the wind takes you. I appreciate that. Elise, I was wondering, in terms of like maintenance for the fleet, is that handled by your staff, or how do you maintain a fleet of that size?
Yeah, so we do have we have a small team, but it is a strong team. There's like 6 or 7 of us. I'm the only like operational person, which is different from the system I was at before. But so I have an operations manager and the team of technicians. So the folks that ride around in the vans and balance the stations, making sure there's always bikes available and docks available. They service all of the bikes. They service all of the stations, making sure that you're never getting a bike that's not in good quality, like in good shape, and you're never facing issues when it comes to like a station undocking a bike, etc. And if you are, that they tend to that. And then we have a separate, like our customer service is outsourced, and so there's someone. There's an organization called Bicycle Transit Systems that handles all the customer service, and they do this for several other BCycle cities, so they're really familiar with the operations and like the common issues that people might be facing. But yeah, the team that I was on before, there was an education and outreach person, and then there's other people, and then I had a staff of people that was like all for like focused on that community engagement component. So this is a different dynamic, and we're excited to grow if we can continue to grow here in Nashville.
Elise, I wanted to say that I got to meet one of your team, Aaron. I forget it. He puts in the batteries and he was showing me like how to use all the things there. Turns out he's really good friends with my daughter who lives here. And he's such a big proponent of the and real big advocate. He's really great.
Awesome. Yeah, Aaron and I are the new people to the team. Everyone else on our team was here with the prior nonprofit system. So it's the same group of folks, but except for me and Aaron's great. Yeah. He's probably our chummiest technician. He'll talk to everybody about all the things. Yeah.
Also, Elise, I really liked how you explained about, if you have different level riders. I mean, that is the really giant advantage of the e-bike. When I got the e-bike the first time and I signed up for the month, that for almost like the second day I was here or something, or the first day, I was with a good friend of mine who I knew she could really ride, I was like, well, I'm definitely turning this on. And I could, we just kept, it was seamless, it was like, we're at the same level. It's good enough. And no one slowed someone down. No one felt like they had a rush. So
yeah, that's great.
It is a really great equalizer.
Yeah, I like that term. I've heard people say that before. I'm just like, it's the equalizer. I like that. It's just like, you want to keep up with your friend who's like speeding, go for it. But also if you just like want to like it's a good equalizer. I like it.
Awesome. Well, we do have a couple shout outs for upcoming events in our chat box that I don't think we're going to cover in our announcement. So we've got 2 triathlons coming up on the same day. We've got the Golden Pheasant Triathlon at Shelby Bottoms Park on September 18th. And I think they're still looking for volunteers for that event, potentially, if you're interested in volunteering. And then Karen mentioned there's also a family-friendly triathlon at Long Hunter State Park that day in support of TSRA. So a couple good opportunities coming up to get out on a bike.
This is Karen. A friend sent me some information. I can pass it along to anybody if they're interested. I don't know about it personally.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. So with that, we are going to just thank Elise one more time. So if you have your camera on, please give her a round of applause and throw up a little emoji clapping if you'd like to. We really appreciate you spending our morning together, and we will have a small gift heading your way for being a speaker at our TWIG monthly program. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me join y'all this morning. Yeah.
A wonderful
Awesome.
presentation.
So Elaine, I will hand it over to you for announcements.
Hey, thank you, Elise. That was just fantastic, and I'm really energized. Maybe I'll actually get on a bike this weekend, and it might be an e-bike. So thank you for that. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Happy second Friday in September. Thank you for adjusting your schedules with us for this month. And this is National Hispanic Heritage Month, beginning next week. We always like to start by grounding ourselves in our mission. So Tennessee Women in Green empowers, inspires, and connects women who are committed to environmental sustainability. And we really appreciate you all helping us achieve that mission each and every month. And we could not do what we do without our fabulous sponsors. You all heard from Mimi Wallace and the Wallace group of UBS this morning. This is a slide of our sponsors, but we have room for more. So we'd love to welcome you or your organization. So please consult our website for information on how to become a sponsor. We also appreciate and welcome our new and renewing members. Thank you all for your support. We also could not do what we do without our members. So thank you to all of you. I do want to mention that if you go to our website, you'll see we have a banner saying under construction. We are in the process of changing website platforms. And so we're going to do a little bit of redesign while we're working on switching platforms. And I've got to give a huge shout out to Anna Petronella and Colson Barnes, two of our fabulous TWIG members who are using their expertise to voluntarily help us with this project. So thank you. Also wanted to mention the Iris's book club, kind of in an associated step. We've decided to pause the meetings and service projects while we work on the website and figure out the best way to market their events. However, you can still go to the website and catch up the books you have. Us, please don't hesitate. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at our email, TNWomenInGreen@gmail.com, and follow us on all our social media platforms. So thank you all, and we will have I think we have the site open for a little bit longer. Jen, is that correct? If people want to chat?
That is right. And I'm sorry, my internet is just really mad at me this morning. It keeps booting me out.
So the internet let us
so
chat.
if I dropped off, that's why. My apologies.
Well,
yeah, we've got a few minutes to hang around if folks want to chat for a little bit after.
You're welcome to hang on and chat for a while. And if not, have a fabulous rest of the month. And again, thank you, Elise, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for all you do, Elaine, as well. And Jen, a shout out to you guys.
Yeah, Jen has got an unknown talent of like semi-stalking people for be our speaker. So we appreciate
Well, my secret is out there now, so.
Yeah, that was
Thank you,
really
ladies.
awesome. Thanks for finding
Thank
Elise.
you. Hey, Elise, I wanted to mention you. I was in a meeting yesterday and Wednesday, and Mayor Cooper spoke. And when he opened for questions, somebody asked him, so why are